I opened, he three bet, and then two people called. It was Airball and whoever was on his left. They both cold called. So when it comes back to me, I just had like what I felt like was like a mandatory four bet because like ace king suited is like too strong of a hand to just like let them see a flop like four ways. So I made it like 8,500, and then he goes in the tank. I mean, he's also like a good player, so I also thought that like he understood this dynamic too, where it's a spot where like if I had a hand maybe like ace queen or like maybe like tens or nines or jacks, like it's a spot where I would four bet more than if it was just heads up because like I'm trying to steal basically I'm trying to steal the dead money from the airball and the other guy that called the three bet. And so I think that probably played a part in him deciding to five bet because he was like, oh, this is a spot where Eshaan can be attacking light, so I can be attacking, so I can attack that.
What the fuck? This hand is fucked up. I really thought we were playing the fucking Nick game.
And the Nick game stuff, yeah, I'm not really sure why he said that. I mean, I didn't read much into that at the time, apart from like maybe he doesn't have aces. This is like pretty brick flop for like a five bet pot, I think. Like neither of us should really have sevens, eights, or nines. Like I might have a hand like pocket nines or pocket tens where I'm just like, oh, there's dead money pre-flop, so I'm gonna four bet, and then when he five bets me, I'm just like, okay, well, I have to call because it's a small five bet and like we're infinitely deep and like maybe I can hit a set or something. I thought it was generally a better flop for me, like based on just the potential hands I could have. I think he's basically saying he has aces on the flop with that bet and that size. Like he's basically just like I have aces and I want to play for stacks against your like kings, queens, and maybe jacks. Because it's like a pretty big bet. Like he bet half pot in like a huge pot. Like some people would just bet like 10K or even smaller there. And so when he bet that size, I thought he was basically only saying he has aces and that or a bluff kind of. I don't remember the exact hand before, but I think it was quite a similar spot where it was like some low card board and then like another connected card. Like I think before it was like it might have been like 9 8 6 turn 10 and I led or something like that. My thinking in this spot was just in like both of the spots was like I have a lot more like pocket tens, pocket nines, pocket jacks. Like I could have a jack in those ways, which he can't really have. And so then it makes sense to start leading. And then for like bluffs, I don't really have that many to choose from. So it's like kind of only ace king is my bluff. And I also think that like it applies a lot of pressure to him because like most people are like, oh, okay, like he checked and now I get to decide whether I want to put more money in. But like when you lead, now they don't get to decide anymore. Like now they have to face they if they have nothing, like they basically just have to fold generally. And then if they have something, then they can continue. But it's a lot more difficult because like when I check and then he decides he's like, okay, I can keep bluffing or I can give up or I can keep value betting or I can pot control, right? But when he faces the lead, now you can't do that anymore. Like now you have to decide what to do. Like this guy just put 20,000 into the pot. Like I can't. Like it almost feels like you can't bluff anymore. It almost feels like you just have to continue if you have a hand and otherwise you have to fold. And the pot's so big that like you don't really want to do that. He took like so long before he raised me. Like while he was tanking, he took like I think he took 4 minutes. And during those 4 minutes, like the first couple of minutes, he was pretty silent, just thinking. But he said like, "What do you have?" in a way that like in my experience, whenever people do that, it's just like they're always folding and they don't have anything.
The fuck do you have?
And he was just like, "What do you have?" And then like he kept thinking about it, and then like I would have bet a lot of money that he was folding at that point in the hand when he said that, and like just that was his demeanor, as if like he just like had nothing but like couldn't do anything. And then after like a minute after that, he like min raises me, and it's just a spot where like I know that he never has a jack really. Like I couldn't think of any ways that he could have a jack, and so. Like on the flop, I thought he was basically saying he has aces or a bluff, and then on the turn, now he's saying he has a jack. Like it didn't make sense to me. And so then, because of that, I was like, I just didn't believe you. I just didn't believe him, and so I shoved. I mean, I didn't even tank that long before shoving. Like he tanked for like 4 minutes before clicking me, and I probably tanked for like under a minute before shoving. He was for sure one of the players that was like willing to go after it, like willing to put you in tough spots. Like that had a huge impact because like if it's like one of the other players Like I don't think that they're just gonna like go after it in this spot and try to like basically he was trying to own me. Like he was like you have a ton of money, you're up a lot, I cover you, I'm in position, I'm gonna try to own you.
Hmm.
And then he's like the type of player that would try that in the first place. A lot of people would not try that. Like most people would not try that at all. And so like I kind of knew that he was the type of player that would try that because like that's how he had been playing in a lot of spots against most people. He had been like talking to them on the rivers, like trying to own them, like showing a lot of like crazy bluffs and like he had also been drinking a lot and so he just seemed like that type of player that would like be like you're out of position, you have a ton of money, you're up a lot, I'm gonna like put you in a uncomfortable position. I showed. I mean it's such a gangster bluff, like I have to show it. I mean it was I don't even know if it was a bluff. It was just like such a gangster play because like I had the best hand obviously, but like I thought that a lot of the time actually we had the same hand. After that hand, he was like so tilted. Like for like 5 minutes after, like you don't see that in the clip. He was just like, "Why did I do that? Like I should have just gone all in instead." He dusted like 70,000 like two orbits later, like just shoving ace jack offsuit for like 70,000. I honestly don't think his play is that bad if he goes about it in like a slightly different way. But like I think he gave too much away by like tanking for so long, by like asking what I had. If he gives a little less away, my decision is quite a bit more difficult. I probably would have had to think about it for a lot longer. I talked to Airball and he was just like, I thought you had aces for sure, just like all the time aces. Queens is like not happy there when it gets three bet shoved on like a four-liner turn. Like in like 99% of situations, it's just against aces or jacks like all the time. I think if he calls me on the turn, my decision on the river is quite a bit tougher because if he just calls my 18,000, now it's like, what does he have? Like, did he call ace king? Did he, does he have queens or jacks? Does he have a set? Like, a lot of these hands are not necessarily folding to the river. Like, if I bet the river. On the river, if he just calls me and then I check the river, like, or something like that, like, it's just a much more difficult situation for me. He kind of made in some ways like he raised me at 36,000, but in some ways he made my decision easier because I already thought he had nothing. If he just thinks for like 30 seconds, a minute, and then he just calls my 18,000, like that would look super strong to me. I probably would have given up on the river. I might have just like bet small and tried to bluff him off of the same hand, but it would have been a lot harder for me to play the rest of the hand for sure. Because like if you have a jack too, like you're not just gonna min raise. Like why would you ever do that? Like nothing, no hand. I couldn't think of any hand that he would ever play like that for any reason. So then I was just like, okay, I'm all in.